Okay, you guys, it is Thursday morning. Had the best day with my friend Mary yesterday. We did a lot of running around. I had a doctor's appointment and we picked up Kira and went to Costco and milled on the mill with my son, and whew, I was exhausted. So videos have been a little bit late. Thanks for hanging in with me on that. But she is here for one more day. And we are going to, I don't know what we're going to do today, but right now it's time to milk. So, good morning. Good morning, Layla. Good morning, Delilah. Good morning, honeys. Is it your turn? Listen, we had to put that on there because of your daughter. That's why you can't peek out over the top anymore. Because your daughter is an escaped artist and will jump in there and drink all your milk, and then I won't get any milk from you. I have to figure out a way to contain little Miss B because she is not wanting to be weaned and she is getting into all of the milk. So yesterday we picked a bunch of apples from my friend Kelly's mom's house. And today we actually flooded the pig pen because we had some standing water in a tote that needed to be emptied. And these are some happy pigs. Now we're going to have them play Bob for the apple. Do you have a swimming pool? Look at your big swimming pool, buddy. He's like, nope, I'm done with that. That's enough, Kira. She's like, nope. You got one in your mouth, honey. I want to rename that one Chloe. Ginger Chloe. He's like in hog heaven over there. So we're taking kind of an off day. My friend Mary's here. This is her last day. She leaves tomorrow morning. So we're just hanging out, enjoying the nice weather. Tomorrow we're going to get busy on the deck. And we're going to hardcore work on the deck until it's done. And I'm still milling for my son. So that's still on there. And then we're going to move to the goat barn. So we just finished lunch. We may go down for naps. I'm not sure. But I'll see you guys either later tonight. I'll show you some milling, or I'll see you tomorrow. Hanging out with the rabbits. Okay, I got the porch cleaned. That was total like blindness. I knew it was bad, but when I was editing the last week's video, or Friday's video, I was like, that was terrible, the back porch. What you doing this morning, Kira?
I just gave the piggies their grain. Now I'm just going to go give them some hay.
Nice. We'll meet you at the piggies. So we flooded out their little pen the other day so that they, because it's been really hot and dry and dirt and everything. And then we had them bob for apples. That was so cute. So it is Friday today, and we're just deciding on what we want to work on. Man, you almost can't even tell that we flooded that out. We poured 200 gallons of water in there that was yucky water out of an IBC tote. We had water sitting, and can't even tell. It's dry. We need some rain. I'm not ready for rain, but we need rain. So we've been trying to figure out what we're going to work on this morning. Turn this way. Oh, it's so bright. I really want to work on the barn, but we have to get this deck done over the shipping container. And I didn't get to work on it at all last week. So we're going to focus on that. We have a couple of hours. Good morning, duckies. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. You want your snacks? We have a couple of hours before we have to go pick up the boys from school. So I think we're going to just jump on taping the plastic on, and Kira's going to get back to doing some burning, and then we can get to putting the deck on. But I really want to get this deck done today and tomorrow so that we can move on to the barn build. Because y'all, it's first week of September is almost over and we are running out of time. So we're going to finish taking care of critters and then we'll meet you up on the deck. It happened. We got a bloom. So pretty. It's got a couple more that it's the third one. This one. That one finally launched on. Oh, there's one right there. This one has the dark purple flowers, and the rabbits kind of ate it down, and it just wasn't able to grab a hold. We need to do something. I'm not real sure if I really like this archway. It's kind of wonky. We can figure it out. Like, I want to put in wood posts or whatever. Take away the T-posts and put in wood posts. Or I actually want to do an arbor. But Kira, that's the first time her seeing those flowers. Purple's her favorite.
It is my favorite. I like purple.
All right, let's get upstairs and do some decking. Ta-da! Whoa! I fell in.
Don't go giving me a
I just gave myself a heart attack. I fell in. Okay, so we have about an hour and a half before we have to go pick up the boys. We're just going to see how much we can accomplish up here getting these retaped. So I saw a gentleman, he actually nailed the plastic on and then he taped over it so there was no leaking. And then he put his boards on, and the boards pinching, the deck boards pinching into the joist is what really truly holds the plastic. And then the tape is just for keeping it waterproof, because as the screw goes through, it actually gets around that also and helps keep it totally waterproof. And then that's what keeps the plastic on. So I don't have any of the little nails. I thought that I had staples, and that's the way to do it apparently, with not using a ton of extra tape. And it holds it. You just want to hold the plastic in place. So that's why this fell down, because you can't come out. The cats want to come out. Woo! Scary. You guys are in selfie mode. The other thing is you actually put it on top, and there doesn't need to have this huge giant dip. Where I was putting a big swoosh in between, it doesn't need to be that. So so like right here where the plastic isn't actually on top of the wood, it needs to be on top of the wood, and that's what keeps it from falling and being pinched in between the two pieces. So, okay guys, I'm not really sure why my phone wants to randomly put itself in this movie theater mode where you get the black lines on the top and the bottom, but it did. And if I zoom in to get rid of that, then you guys can't really see what I'm doing. So sorry if that absolutely confuses you, because it does me every time I edit, and it's done that. Working with this stuff was very physically demanding. Being up on top of the shipping container, the shipping container moves. It's not solid up there. It's flexible. So basically you're on uneven terrain, and squatting and bending down and all of that stuff was just so physically demanding. What I thought was just going to be this super simple little task literally made me feel like I went to the gym and did a full body workout. But when I was looking for the material to do this, There was a couple of different kinds that were available. There was one great big solid piece that I think it was 12 feet by 40 feet that I could have purchased. And then there were these that were the individual rolls. And, you know, the solid piece, I think if you had a team of people, you could definitely get put on fairly easy. You could just drape it over and then staple it where you want it. Give yourself as much of the dip for the water in between the joists, and then you would still need to retape it, so you would have to set some boards up and you would have to do that. So in my opinion, I just thought it would be extremely difficult to do, you know, 10-15 feet up in the air, which is basically what I am. The shipping container itself is 8 feet, and then on the end that I'm standing here, it's another 3 more feet. So I thought that this would be just very simple. So the fact that this kept slipping and, you know, not taping well, and this tape is really expensive. So you're welcome. I figured out how to do it, and now you don't have to waste the amount of tape that I wasted, which was probably about $25 worth of tape. It was an entire roll. Yeah, so frustrating, and just more physically demanding than I thought it would be. I thought this would be just a super simple little project, and it was not. It ended up being a lot. Now there's a possibility that the Yoshugi bonding leaves the soot on the board, and that was causing the tape not to stick as well, and then was allowing it to slip. And you know, that is a very big possibility, because I don't have the ability, or we don't waste water here, and so rinsing those down, or even, you know, just scrubbing it and then having to rinse it, would have taken a huge amount of time, so I didn't do that. So I just I started actually using this, taking a little piece of tape and tacking it in place, and then putting the tape on, and that definitely made a much bigger difference and made it easier. So if you don't have staples or nails, try that tip. It worked really well. Okay, so I finished with everything that was up there. My legs are literally just shaking. My little flyaway hairs are hilarious. But I think I've figured it out, and I definitely have a system now. So it's quite a bit easier. It is a lot of work on the legs, squatting, standing, that kind of thing. But I think I'm going to be able to do it. And I think it's going to stay. I'm feeling pretty confident. And the minute we squish the boards on top, it will pinch the plastic in between the joist and the decking boards. So that'll hold it all into place even better. I used 2 pieces of tape on each side, so I'm definitely going to go through some tape. I think it would be a lot easier if you were able to staple them, if you wanted to use less tape. And I may go repurchase the staples so that I can do that. But I did buy a lot of tape, so I might as well use the tape that I got. I just don't want to run out of tape and not have the project finished. So I'm pretty excited about it. I'm all ready to go over to the sawmill and start milling for the evening. It's not evening, it's like 3:30, so it's hot. All right, I gotta hit the outhouse first. So I'm finding I didn't have the staples to staple down the plastic before I put the tape on. And I came out to check it and show the boys, and it was slipping again. So I pressed down on everything as much as I could. And when we get done with the mill, which is right before dark, we are going to climb up there. I'm going to put the last 2, and then Kira and I are going to deck it. Or make sure we can deck it in the morning before it gets hot. So hopefully everything will stay overnight while it cools off. But I am beyond frustrated with this. My son did pick up the staples for me for that staple gun and staple hammer. And so from here on out, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to staple those on, then tape them, and then that will give me a little bit of leeway on putting the stuff on. I may just try to staple them in place before we even start laying the decking, because we don't want that to slip ever. And I have to say that's totally been the most frustrating thing about this, is it's supposed to be a super simple system. I would say buy the solid piece, because then you can lay that out on there and it's all together. There's no cut pieces on it. And then you put your, yeah, then you got, let's see, too close. Oh, little kitty scratchies. Yeah. So. Hi. So, you want to grab this nail gun to put it in the truck for me?
What nail is it? Oh, this?
That, yes. So, that's what I would say about that. And then I would nail it where you want it, and then come over it with the tape, and then you wouldn't have to worry about this. That's what I would do different if it was me. We'll see how it goes once I can actually staple it in place, and maybe that'll just be the way that it works better. But I'm wearing my bandana to cover my face because the dust is so bad out there. And it's sunny and it's hot, and I'm complaining and I'm wah. Look at all that dust. That's why I have my bandana. All right, what's our measurements on this log?
29 on that end and 30 something on this end.
So we got 29 inches on this side, and that other end is bigger. How long is it?
I don't know.
Maybe a 12 foot.
30 inches this way.
It's 30 inches on the back side, 29 inches on this side. The wood miser takes a 26-inch log, so this is going to what? 12 and a half feet. So we have to whittle it down as much as we can so that it'll fit in the cut groove thingy of the wood miser. So this will be an interesting log to do. We are getting 2x6s for framing out of this log. So here we go. So it has been just an absolute joy working with my son on the sawmill. Normally I have to pay attention to all the things, do all of the measurements, make sure all of the dogs are down and I'm not going to hit anything, and just have the entire thought process myself. And that is very rewarding, but it is very nice to work with somebody that is also managing and looking at things just as much as I am. So we actually got through this log and some other logs very easily with minimal amount of having to stop and cut out the sawmill because the wood was too big, or log was too big, or we caught, or whatever. A lot of the things that I've dealt with before when working with some other people and you're the only one watching and paying attention to the things. Like, this was just a lot of fun. And even though I'm just absolutely exhausted by the end of the day, because I know that I don't have to focus on absolutely everything, and he'll pick up the slack where I'm, maybe zoning out a little bit. Like right here, for instance, we got it cut. We got it stuck. But it wasn't like so badly stuck that it took forever. And he did the chainsaw, and I didn't have to do any of that, and it was great. Kira and I were able to get the blade unpinched and pull this out of the way, and he trimmed it all down. And then we were able to just get right back to milling it. It was pretty fantastic. I just remember spending an hour trying to fix and get out of that situation before, and me having to do all the stuff. And so this has just been an absolute joy to do. Now, all of this lumber is being milled for my son's little house that he's building that eventually will probably be a rental or something up here on the property. Kira wanted to help so badly, but I'm finding that the more people that you have around the mill, the more potential for somebody getting hurt. And pulling these big slabs off of here, there's definitely potential for somebody to get hurt. So really what we needed help was her putting them on, helping putting them back on instead of taking them off. So my physical strength is just kind of going with this RA/lupus diagnosis, and you know, I need to keep my strength in order to do the things that I need to do over at my house. So running the mill, doing this particular part that I do, I can do, and it's not a physically intensive situation. But loading and unloading the mill it's exhausting, actually. So having him be able to do that and Kira jump in and help put the slabs back on to finish the cuts was really, really nice. One of the other things is, you know, it's into beginning of September and we're just now starting the mill. It's so funny because I have this moment of I'm afraid of the mill, like every time. I mean, there's one thing to have a healthy respect for this machine because there is definitely that potential to get hurt, but it's another where I just get this paralysis. I don't know what they call it, but when you just are like, I don't want to go start that because it's going to cause more stress and more whatever, and I don't want to. But I had to because Victor needed the lumber and I had said that I would do it, so I had to go out there. It did take us a little bit to get the mill started. We had to change up the hydraulic oil and, you know, just change the oil in the actual engine. And then there were just kind of a little few tweaks that we had to do. I did end up switching out and adding a little hand pump on the fuel line because it didn't want to start, and apparently this is a common thing with the Wood-Mizer sawmill. I don't know if other mills have this problem or not, but I did see it with the Wood-Mizer, that if the mill sits for a while, it doesn't want to grab that suction and pull the gas over to the engine so that it would start. So I found some videos of people problem solving, and they ended up putting just a little hand pump, and you can hand pump the gas into the filter, and then it started right up, and we've had no problems with it since. So that was pretty fantastic. All right, so now we got a really nice cant. This tree definitely has some boogers on it. It kind of grew twisted. It would be really interesting to see how the boards turn out. But like, this is just a big booger, and it'll
19 by 21 can.
19 by 21. Yeah. Nice. These big trees are a lot of fun, but you never really know what you're going to get out of them because, like, there's a lot of lumber that you lose with something like that in it. So you may look at the log and go, oh, that's a 25 by 32. I'm going to get all this stuff. And you don't know until you actually start cutting into it. So it'll be real interesting to see what we get out of this. We did get some really nice slabs, though. Like 3 of those slabs we'll be able to definitely make.
5 boards.
You think we'll get 5?
This one's going to be 9-foot long boards.
Oh, okay.
The rest of them we'll just get 1 board out of.
Ah. So it takes a little bit longer when you're having to do that, but you can get the most wood out of your piece of timber. And if you guys are wondering, my bandana is working great. This log was really interesting because it grew twisted. So there's a lot of lumber that you'll lose out of it. This is a really good place to get a cool slab to do some making some tables or whatever that have epoxy on them and that kind of stuff. And you know, that's kind of what we end up pulling this one piece for. But it takes a minute to just kind of stop and discuss what you want to do and figure out the log and then make your cuts. And I think people assume that, man, you could just whip right through, and yes, you can, but you still have to if you want to get the most out of your log, you have to be really careful about your cuts. Did you release that
Yeah.
one? It's hot. No, it's not.
I can't grab it.
Something's stuck there.
Stupid bolt. Doesn't have this fit. Good?
Snug. With it being so snug. No, I'm not good. Did you tighten it?
No.
Okay. So it'll adjust it once it's in there.
Sure?
Yes. There's an auto adjust on there.
Oh.
If you break me, I'm not going to be able to help you. So that blade actually didn't really want to go on right. You could tell I was taking a minute and kind of looking at it, and it just didn't seem like it fit right. And then we started getting some wavy cuts, and there were some issues, so we had to go back and look at it, and it seemed like it was okay, but it was just really odd. But then I remembered there was something that when I was talking to Wood Miser last year that they had said, sometimes you just have a bad blade, and you know, we can't make sure that they're all perfect all the time. So if you start getting those cuts, even though you just changed out the blade, change it out again, and then you'll start getting better cuts. And we didn't end up having to do that, and we were just really trying to figure out what is going on with this. But anytime that you have a wavy cut, change your blade. It doesn't matter how long it's been there or not. But again, there's just when you haven't been on the machine for a while, there's things that you forget and that you have to kind of come back to and get back on and remember it. I just remember when I first started using this machine, and everything was like this calculated, how am I going to cut this? This right here is when we changed out the blade, and then it started cutting beautifully. So unfortunately, we had some of those boards that had a little bit of a wave to them, but it was in the 2-inch thickness, not the 5.5 inch. So it didn't really matter as much, but still frustrating. You know, but I remember when I first started milling with this mill, and everything took me forever, and we really did. Yes, it took 2 hours to get through this big log, but we really did, you know, kind of were able to make decisions quickly and, you know, figure out the cuts. And there's a lot of things that I don't have to like hardcore think about anymore. It's like, oh, okay, this is what you do next. It did take me a little bit to remember about the blade though. So when you stack these slabs back up on the mill, they don't always sit perfectly. So you do have to make sure they're sitting the way that you want to sit them, because once you make the cut, you can't take it back. And you know, these were kind of like, one was up about a 1/2 inch more than the others, and that could really mess up your whole 5.5 inch getting the most out of the lumber. And taking this time to stop and remeasure things, make sure things are adjusted and pinched well. And if you really can't get them lined up, then you can't do a whole bunch in a row. We did, I think, pushed 9 slabs together. But then the other thing that you can do is you can just take a leveling cut off the top, which is what we did. And so you get these teeny tiny little things that you can't do anything with, but now you have a perfect flat cut line at the top, and then you can drop your 5.5 and make that last cut. And here we're just unloading everything off of the mill. This is really nice because these slabs were all really the same size, and they didn't have much live edge on them, and we were able to cut a whole lot at one time. We do have some other ones that are different sizes and do have quite a bit of live edge, and those you need to cut individually. You can't to get the most out of the lumber and the best looking piece of lumber, you want to cut them individually. So it does add time, and but then you get the best lumber, and that's kind of the point of all of this, producing a better product than what I can get at the store for less money. These are true 2-inch by 5.5. So we did have to do the 5.5 because he did have some lumber that he had purchased from Home Depot, and the 2x6s are actually 1.5 inches by 5.5 inches. What do we get? Total, do we know?
I think it's 35.
I think it was 35.
Yeah, that would have made 35.
This big honking one's out of the last tree.
It was 27, and then
We did, what, 5 more out of those slabs? We got that many. That's how many we got. And those 3 out of that one log. That was a big log. Big logs are hard to cut. They take a long time. Took us a little over 2 hours. But I think we got a lot of really good lumber out of it. And we got a really awesome slab that Kira and I are going to do something fun with. Well, we just finished and I just got out of the shower and I'm exhausted, but we actually milled $1,000 worth of lumber yesterday and today. That log took us 2 hours, and I would say yesterday's log took us 2 hours. So $1,000 for 4 hours of work with the sawmill. Eventually, I really think that that's something that I'm gonna do, is offer these big timbers that you just can't really get unless you get them specialty cut. So the sawmill has definitely made its return in the amount of money that I spent on it. Now, it was an expensive machine. It was a $22,000 machine, but absolutely worth every penny in this venture living here where I live. I don't know if it would have worked as well in Texas because there's just not logs. You'd have to have your logs brought in, unless you had a big, huge, if you were in, Northeast Texas, we lived on a piece of property that had a bunch of oak trees. That one probably would have been fine to have a mill, but I think it would be very quickly that you would have to be bringing trees in, and I don't know how much they would cost because they just don't have big trees there, so that may not work out. But I'm pretty excited about that. Tomorrow morning I'm gonna get back on the decking. We're gonna do 8 foot. We're gonna put up the decking and get those pinned down, so hopefully they don't slide and come stuck again. Kira did put a tarp over it because it gets in direct sun, and we think that's what happened, is the tape was in direct sun and it just kind of softened and melted and things slid off. So hopefully it'll be fine overnight and we can get on that decking early, and we're just gonna mill in the evening. Tomorrow evening he has half of his 2x6s that he needs for his building, so we've got to mill the other half. And I would say, so we milled 44 logs the second day we were on the mill. 44 2x6s. And then we just milled another, I think it was 37 2x6s. And then we milled that great big beam. So we've gone through 4 logs. The first log was our starter log. We got 5. It was a small log. We got 5 2x6s out of that. So we will get all of his lumber milled, so he's gonna save $10,000 in lumber, probably. I think. I don't know how much the framing lumber would be for his house. I'll have to ask him. I'll let you guys know. He doesn't like to be filmed. He doesn't want to be filmed working on his house. So it's pretty private of a guy. So you guys probably won't see what he's building. I may take a picture or two of it with permission, and then I'll kind of post it. But I think it's going to be a gorgeous little house, and I'm pretty excited for this build for him. My build next year, we'll be getting the shop done, but this year we are going to be working on the goat barn. Once this deck is done, the goat barn is our next thing, along with firewood. So this is probably the end of today's video, just because I know that I did a lot of filming out there, 2 hours worth on the mill, so you guys could see that going, and a little bit here on the deck. Tomorrow morning we'll do a whole bunch. I'll finish, I don't know, hopefully I'll get a bunch done. But thanks you guys for hanging out. We will see you in the next video. I appreciate all of your support. Bye.